have siblings, but now I changed them.
Oh,
I
so
put my kids first.
You changed it.
I put my kids, my husband a little, I know I cannot be jealous and dead at the same time, but I just don't want him to take this money and go with another woman like that, you know what I mean? So most of the money will go to my baby.
So here's the thing.
Hey guys, welcome again for another episode of Let's Keep It Real. Today we are here with my friend Abu and of course my dear cousins, friends, my everything, Jenny.
Hello, everybody.
So today I wanted to touch base about what happened when granny died or mom died or daddy died in their own businesses, property and all that. What's the steps and the process and what's some of the things maybe we need to know to put in place today to avoid problem down the line?
Yes. So after the crying and the tears and the funeral and the expense, that is very true. What happens next? It just depends. It depends on what was set in place during the life of the person. Ideally, people would have a will. Okay. And everything's just on paper, and all their wishes and desires are written in black and white, and their 5 kids each get something of equal value, and they all say, Granny was wonderful. Mm-hmm. She was the best.
But it doesn't always happen.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't, because do you have a will?
Do I have what?
Do you have a will?
No, I don't.
Do you have a will?
I don't have a will.
I'm an attorney and I don't either. Just be honest.
I should.
Yes.
I should. I know I have a life insurance, and my life insurance I put all the beneficiary for all my savings. I know who are the beneficiary, but the official will now.
You put your siblings, so that needs to be maybe updated or not? Because
I do have siblings, but now I changed them. I put my kids first.
You changed it.
I put my kids, my husband a little, I know I cannot be jealous and dead at the same time. But I just don't want him to take this money and go with another woman like that, you know what I mean? So most of the money will go to my babies.
So here's the thing. Life insurance policies do not fall under wills.
Okay.
So that is outside of it. So having a will or not having a will, and how people can talk about trust, they talk about having wills, they talk about putting things into into a company. It's all dependent on what you want to accomplish. Okay. So let's just say you're just a regular person and it's Granny. And Granny died without a will. Mm-hmm. So here in Texas, that means that everything would go to Grandpa. And let's say Grandpa then goes and gets his new wife. And Granny can be jealous from the grave. But the new wife is going to enjoy
the house
everything that you guys had together. And you know what? Let's say there are 5 kids that Grandma and Grandpa had together. Well, SOL for those 5 kids, because what happens is that Grandpa gets everything, and him and the new wife / girlfriend, or actually girlfriend, and then they get married, let's say, right? And then Grandpa passes away. Everything goes to the new wife.
Instantly.
Wow.
Instantly. The kids can try and fight it in court and say, Grandpa obviously wasn't right in his mind for going off with this 19-year-old. But Grandpa died maybe with a smile. But no, that's what happens, because the way that it works is that everything goes to the spouse. After the spouse, then it goes to the children, equally divided amongst them. Mm-hmm. If the person dies, and this is called dying intestate without a will, okay?
Okay.
It goes to the children. Let's say you don't have any children. Then what happens is that it goes to the parents. If the parents have predeceased the decedent, that means if the parents already died before the person that just died, then it's split amongst the brothers and sisters. Then from there, it can go, if you do have kids, and one of the kids have died already, it's divided amongst the grandchildren, and just goes down and down and down from there. And so what happens is that if you pass away without a will, somebody needs to go and find all of those people.
Oh my God.
Track them down, because everybody's able to get a slice of the pie. You know,
Yeah, I've been in that
entitled
position.
to get it. There you go. Thank you.
I've been in that position. I have a
Yeah.
client that inherited a property, and we could not close because we have to find everybody. Some people we don't know what they are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they have to come and sign up for all the documents. How do you move forward when you have grandpa like woman and you had a bunch of kids left and right, and it was known, and then go find them.
Yeah.
Go have everybody come and sign. Some pass, and some have children with other people.
Yeah.
That's a headache. That's
Yes.
a real headache.
And sometimes, what if grandpa who liked women didn't marry these women? He has a bunch of children with different people. And, maybe the children don't speak to one another and they don't know where each other are. And maybe if you finally do find them, I don't want to sign off on it. So there are steps that you can take through the court to handle all of that. And it will eliminate some of the headache for the family members who are having to deal with the passing of a loved one. Mm-hmm. And now all of these property issues. Because you also have to think about this. Moving forward, while people are trying to figure out, well, who's the house going to belong to? Remember, insurance and property taxes need to be paid.
Yeah.
Those things need to be paid. That doesn't stop. That doesn't stop the clock.
And what happens if one of the siblings don't come to agreement with whatever the court states as far as everything being split with all the siblings? You have one out of, let's say, 4 that doesn't agree with what the judge says. Does that prolong everything?
It does. It does. Anything where people are fighting and going back and forth is going to take more time
And more money.
And it's going to potentially eat up money from the state itself. The state is the assets that were left over by the person that passed away, and take longer. And then the house can go into deterioration, and property taxes can be behind and backed up, and all that affects the process. It really does. But to answer your question specifically, what happens depends on the situation, because each case is different. But an example of what could potentially happen is let's say you two are brothers and sisters, and you want to keep the house and you want to sell the house, and I am the stepsister, and I'm also entitled to a percentage of the value of the property, and I could care less either way. I just want my money. So we present the case to the court, and if we can't come to an agreement, then what's going to happen? We cannot be forced into the position that we're going to own a property together. So you can buy us out, and if you don't have the money to do that, then what's going to happen is that exactly what you said. The judge is going to say, you know what, sell the property. Because just like a marriage or just like a business, you can't force me to be like your partner.
Exactly.
You know, so that's how you can get a good deal with Danielle and get a good price on a home. Unfortunate, but fortunate for some. But that's what happens is that, you know, grandma and grandpa worked real hard and they have their property paid off in full. And when they pass away,
the kids mess it up because they keep fighting.
So that's the importance of having a will. I do try, personally, depending on the client and what they want and what they're looking for, but I do try to find a way to keep things out of court.
Yeah.
I know it sounds odd because I'm an attorney and that's where I make my money, but I'm here to serve my clients. So let's say that mom and dad have a house that they live in and they have paid it off in full. And then they have 2 other rental homes, okay, that they have paid off in full as well. And they're renting it out and they're collecting money. And that money covers the taxes, covers the insurance, and any upkeep that is required on the property. So that's a really good deal, okay? So let's say they have 3 kids. And instead of the 3 children after mom and dad pass away, even if they have a will and they say, I'm going to leave 1 house to each kid. Okay?
Yeah.
You know, maybe 1 house is more valuable than the other house, but each kid's going to get a house. Instead of having to go to court, pay an attorney, pay court costs, take the time for the judge to sign off, for the deed to be transferred to the different children's names, there is something in Texas that is called a transfer on death deed.
Okay.
And so depending
Never heard about this.
Yes, depending on the client and their needs, I try to do what I can to keep them out of court. So, like in that example, if there's 3 houses, 3 kids, you can just transfer on death, and it's revocable. Revocable means that you can change it at any time. So if little Tim stops coming to visit, you can say, you know what? You're not going to get that house. Maybe Sonia is, because she comes all the time.
And she's taking care of you.
Exactly. So what it is that it's just a deed, and you've recorded it with the property records in the county where you reside within Texas, and says, upon the death of so-and-so, this house, the deed is going to transfer to X, to Sonia, because Tim wasn't visiting, is going to transfer to her. And so then that means when the person passes away, you present the death certificate, and then that's when that transfer on death deed becomes actionable, and it will transfer over, and you can have a new deed on record.
So that's the good steps to do. So you can do that at a title company or call you, and you do it, and then at least we know people won't fight because of the house.
So yes, I'm not sure if you do it at a title company. I would say do it with moi,
yes,
an attorney.
With her.
But what it is yes, so people won't fight about it. But it saves money. It saves money for your clients in the future. But so that's what I do when someone comes to me and they say, I need a will. I have property. I want to figure out how I'm going to give it to my children. Or I have a lot of people that come in and say, I have 5 girls and 1 son. My son's going to be in charge of everything. And I said, are you sure?
No, don't do that. Then the son has a girlfriend.
Right.
And he lost it.
Yeah. So each client is different, but I have to hear their situation and figure out what's going to be the best for this person. And in all honesty, I do try to set them up in a manner in which they will avoid court. Anything that I can do for them to not have to pay attorney's fees in the future. Because the point is that you're setting everything up for the future and the benefit of your children.
Yes.
And so if you have 10 houses and they're going to have to sell a house to be able to pay off their attorney's fees.
What's the point?
Yeah, well, good for the attorney, but the point is for your children. So that's why the transfer on death deed is a really important thing. Earlier when you're talking about the life insurance, so that falls outside of probate, because that is something that can transfer automatically once you present the death certificate, right?
Okay.
So that's why it's really important for bank accounts to have a beneficiary, a pay on death. So then that way, if you pass away,
so my husband will have to crumble to get the money out of the bank account.
exactly.
Okay.
Or, let's say you're a single mom and you pass away and you have your kids. You know what? The rent still needs to be paid.
Exactly.
They still need food. They still need clothes. They still need gas money.
Yeah.
They still need to be able to have money to access to start to pay your funeral expenses.
Exactly.
And so if you have a pay on death beneficiary on your bank account, that goes outside. You don't need to go to court, because if you don't have that, those funds are locked until you go through the probate court and go through all of the steps for the judge to sign off to release those funds.
This is good nuggets to know.
Yeah.
You know,
Good
and it doesn't
information.
have to be like, let's say you're a single mom and then you do have a sister who help you a lot with your children. If you put her on your bank account, that's great. The kids can can get food right away and not have to worry about some stuff. If you know you have a good savings on there and you don't have to wait for probate and all that and go to court to take care of it.
And another thing is that they don't get the money while you're alive. So it's not like they're on your bank account and they're going to go, oh, it's Friday. I need to get me a new pair of shoes. I'm going to the club. It's not like that. They cannot access the money until they show your death certificate. So you don't even necessarily need to tell them, because you don't want them to give you some special tea.
Oh, so they don't have to. Yes, they don't have to sign up or anything. You just do it.
Yeah, you can just do it, and it can be changed. It's not something that's set in stone forever. You can change it, but it is something important. So like when I'm drafting a will, or someone says, I need a will, that's why you look at that and say, like, is your house paid in full? How many children do you have? Have you done this with your bank accounts? Have you with your life insurance policies? Everything is just very dependent on the situation of the person and their individual needs.
Okay.
But it is very important. either way you go, to have some kind of plan in action for your property. Because like the example that you gave earlier, you have having to track people down, find them, get them to sign off. How long does that take?
It can take a month, like it can take 20 years
Yes.
or more.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some people really disappear, and they don't want to be contacted and be known by their family if they have family problem, you know. Yeah. And some people, they just don't know what's going on and they don't care. So yeah,
exactly. Well, I also do something that's called ancillary probate, and so what that is that when people are from a different country outside of the U.S. and they, like, let's say they resided here in Texas for some years once upon a time in the 90s. Okay, so in the 90s. They opened a bank account here. And let's just say they had $300,000 in the bank. And then they went and moved to China. And they passed away while they were living in China. So their children or their loved ones or their spouse or whomever does the probate process over there in the country where the person was residing at the time of death. Okay, so what happens to the house that they own here and the $300,000 in the bank here? What happens? Like, that's just gonna like go to the state, or it's just gonna sit there forever? No. And let's say the house is rented out. There's all these different things to consider. So what ancillary probate is that after the probate process is completed in another country wherever the person was residing at the time of death, then what you do is you have to, you can't just bring over the order signed by the judge from another country and say, oh, okay, change the deed, give me my money. It doesn't work like that. You still have to present it here in court, in the county where the property resides, or the property is located, rather. So where the house is or where the bank account is. And so you have to present it, and you have to show the process that you had an executor named, and that's who the funds are going to be released to, or that's who's going to be in charge of selling the house or continuing to work with the renter that is renting the house.
Who named the executor?
So the person whose will it was. So if you die testate, meaning with the will, you have a named executor. If you die intestate and you don't have a will, then that just means that it's someone that's going to represent you. And that can be your spouse. It could be a child. It could be a sibling. And if you don't have any of that, it can be a friend.
Okay, but you have to put it on paper, or the friend can manifest himself, let me handle Jenny's businesses.
So if I don't have anything on paper, it can just be, just stepping up and trying to help me out. Or help out my estate, because I'm already gone.
Do they have to be approved by everybody else?
Yeah, that's
within
what
the
I'm wondering.
family?
So, again, each situation is different, because you can have independent and you can have dependent. So sometimes they can say, you know what, he's all right, but I'm not sure about his character and his personality. So I'm going to ask the court for him to put up a bond to make sure he's going to follow the rules and see the process through and do everything the right way. Or you can have it as, and you can also have it dependent, meaning that you have to check in every step of the way and file a report of everything that you're doing and everything that's going on with the estate.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Or, it's costly. Especially more time and money.
Yeah,
to do that.
But it's good, because especially if the people they're supposed to inherit everything are underage, and then let's say the auntie, the best friend, whoever, you need to report to make sure you're not misusing the fund or whatever's going on with the estate for the children.
Yeah. No, yes. Underage. So see, that's why I say every situation is completely different. So you said underage. So I have a case, for example, that a lady, she purchased life insurance, and she had 5 children with her husband, and she had the life insurance, and she didn't put her husband on there. She named all of her children. Kids. And then she also had the house that the husband and wife owned together. And so she went ahead and drafted her. She had an attorney draft her will for her. And so she left everything to her kids, meaning that daddy now had his 50% of the house, and mom's 50% was divided equally amongst the children. So in that situation, what happens? Okay, so dad and the children still live in the house. However, when the children come of age, they can band together and say, you know what, Dad, buy us out or get out and we'll sell it. And then also in that situation, the life insurance money is actually held in the court's registry. The dad didn't get access to that money. It just doesn't work like that. That money is for the children. So daddy can go to the court and submit proof that, hey, I need this money for the kids' school, for their books, or a surgery or something for the children. Show that it's for the children, not that he's going to take his new girlfriend to Hawaii or anything like that.
Or buy
and
a
the
new
court
toy.
will release that money. And then when the children come of age, then they will get their money. So each case is super different, but it is something that is very important for people to think about. Because it makes a difference. You don't want to just work hard and have your property and pass away.
And then you lose the house to foreclosure because of taxes.
Exactly.
Bummer. All that equity gone.
Yeah. Well, this is some good nuggets. So pretty much the bottom line is just prepare. Have everything in written. Protect your family, protect your kids, protect all the hard work you put on the table for yourself. Don't want that to be lost to the government or for somebody else to just take over.
Take it, yeah.
Exactly. I also find that, because I do work with a lot of people that are undocumented, so I do find that what happens is that they pay everything in cash. So, you own your house and you say, okay, I'm going to sell you my house. So I'm paying you directly, and we just go to a public notary. And we have some little piece of paper, notarized. It's not recorded. I made all the payments to you, and then you pass away, right? And I'm still making payments. And then all of a sudden, your children come along and think that you still own the house because I just have my little sheet of paper that you gave me a deed, but it wasn't registered.
Oh, this is
recorded.
for the people that do owner financing.
Yeah.
You don't go to a regular mortgage lender. You use the owner to finance you the paperwork because a lot of people feel like they can't get a loan because they don't have no paper.
Exactly.
And I've seen that. happen. So yeah, every deed needs to be recorded, and don't go do a quitclaim deed because I have a transaction where her dad passed away, but they did a quitclaim deed and it's not accepted in Texas, which I learned. And then it was a whole mess.
It is a mess, but it is a mess. That's why it's very important to go to a trusted realtor, to go to someone who knows what they're doing, and do things the legitimate way, because you may feel like, oh, well, I have this piece of paper that was notarized, but okay, so I'm making payments to you. You passed away, and now there is not anything that has been recorded to show that the intent was for me to purchase this property, and now your children come along.
And they need money.
Yeah, and they need money. And so what happens then? They say, oh, well, here's the deed. We found this in Dad's papers. And so you know what? I'm going to sell Danielle the house. And so then you sell the house to Danielle. Meanwhile, this was my house, and I wasn't living in it, but I intended let's just say I have a renter there. And you weren't staying there either, right? And so my renter's there. So now the kids come along, talk about where's the rent? And I had been receiving the rent, but then I had been turning around paying you, and I was still sending you payments, because I've had literally situations like that where they don't talk to one another, and then everyone's like already maybe up there in age, and it's like, well, I know that they went and lived with their daughter somewhere, but I was still sending the payments. And I was assuming that they were still getting it, and then the kids don't know. It's just a hot mess. So that's why it's really, really important to have everything done the legitimate way. Go to a realtor, close everything at a title company.
Go to a lawyer.
Yes.
Get everything. Get a paper trail.
Yes.
Keep all your receipts. Have email exchange. To prove all of that, because even if you don't have anything, if you go to court, the judge will ask you to prove it.
Yeah, everything needs to be proved.
How do you prove when you only pay stuff in cash? So even if a lot of people think because they don't have paper, they're scared. They're scared. You should still be able to to do your will, to do all your your stuff. For sure. Even if you have papers, you don't have papers, everything needs to have a paper trail. Cash is king. I love cash. Come pay me in cash anytime you want to. However, I will always give you a receipt. So even if you are going to pay cash for things, if at minimum, go to Office Depot, get your
yourself one of those little carbon copy receipts and have that and have the other person sign it. It's really important to do so. But the best thing ever is to close at a title company, have a will or have some kind of plan for your property for the benefit of you, your children, your family, and for the sanity of the loan officers and the real estate agents and brokers, because it's a hot mess for them.
Yeah, because when we have property, we do some kind of research to make sure whoever is talking to me, it really owned the place. But then the people that really do the big digging are the title company.
Yeah.
And then you have a buyer on the line, you spend all that money, the buyer spend money to get the loan moving forward, and then you spend money to fix the property and get on the market, and comes to find out that you have title issue.
Yeah. Or you put all this money into this house that you thought was yours because you have a deed signed by who you thought was the son of the person, but apparently come to find out that's the cousin of the brother from another mother.
Oh my goodness.
And you've started fixing up this house, and then it could be something that the court-appointed guardian comes to the house talking about, what are you doing on Grandma Smith's property? Yeah. And you're like, what do you mean this is my property?
Yeah, there's a lot of fraud like that.
And then the sheriff comes and tells you to get out.
Yeah.
So, it's just, it needs to go through the proper channels.
Yes. So always have all your documentation, paperwork verify, and of course, help with a professional.
Yes. And remember, get a will, protect everything that you've worked for, and put it in writing. Because if not, he might get a new girlfriend, and all your work, honey, was for nothing. He's going to be sharing it with a 25-year-old. We don't want that.
And then remember, you cannot be dead and jealous.
You have to be in peace when you're dead.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Hopefully you learned a lot today. There was plenty of great nuggets. You can always contact Jenny. What's your information again?
713-609-9575. My name's Janie. PenaWareLaw.com. You can find me online that way.
Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Make sure to subscribe, follow us on all our social media. And comment. If you have any question, feel free to let us know. We want to know what you think. And if you have any question, we can always send it to her directly.
You have to say like my kids say, subscribe below, subscribe below. When they watch.